So I'm actually gonna start the reading vlog here at my typical filming spot, I guess. It's just an easy spot to do because I think I spend too much time at this spot. This reading vlog is going to go from Monday to Sunday, I think. I will have the next day off and I considered extending it, but it's just gonna be a week reading vlog. Now that the Pokeathon gym is done and the Peace Talks are done, I'm gonna focus on the Magical Readathon. Well, I say that, but one of the books in here is not for that. I have 4 books here and they are large, so I always have ambitious TBRs. But I will say I am 100 pages into All My Rage. I wish I could dedicate more time to this, but this is really hard hitting and I really love it. And I talked about what it's about in my last vlog, but I think this has potential to be a really highly rated book. I would use it for one of the side quests to read a 5-star prediction, but I've already put it down for something else. So it's close. It's my top of my TBR list. So that is for astrology, I believe. Astronomy, excuse me, top of my TBR list. Spinning Silver, right now, it doesn't fit any of the course prompts, but I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna look at some of the bonus quest prompts to see if that will fit. This is just one of the polar fantasies that I have left over that I was gonna read during Peace Talks. This still gets me bonus points for Escana, my realm. And then I'm going to read Elantris, a book featuring healers, which, okay, so this is gonna help me with my Brandon Sanderson goal. Wow, this is really shiny. Elantris is this planet where people go and they're dead, but they're not dead. They're not zombies, but they live in this state where perpetually whatever hurt they have, they feel it for forever. I'm intrigued by this concept. I've heard good things about it, but also that this is his first published work, so it's not necessarily as good as later books like the Stormlight Archive. This will be my second adult fantasy from him after Final Empire, but I'm really looking forward to this. And then Well of Ascension. Finally gonna get to this. I'm a little nervous about this read, not because of the book, but because of the type of book. It's not a floppy paperback, so I really don't want to crack the spine because I really like the spine, so I'm probably gonna be reading like this, like barely opening it. We shall see. So this is for Inscription for Intimidating Read. That's tentatively the TBR that I have for this week. If I have a chance, I'm going to do Sleeper and Spindle. That's a really short Neil Gaiman illustrated work. That's gonna go for Elemental Studies, which is a book under 100 pages, and that's specifically why I picked it up. And then I'm also going to try to get to the Public Library, which is for the essays. That is for Spells and Incantations. So hopefully I'll be able to cross off 1, 2, 3, 5 classes this week. We shall see. So I just finished my run. I need to go get food, take a shower, because it was not a long run, but a longer run. It was speed work, so 5 1-mile intervals at 10K pace. So I need to go get food because I am hungry and take a shower. So it is now Wednesday evening, a lot later than I would prefer, but we had mandatory state testing training. Yay! So there was that. Then I got in a couple miles, just streak miles. I haven't mentioned I have a running streak where I run at least a mile a day. This one wasn't for a workout. Then I had to go to the store to pick up my ticket prizes. Students can earn prizes if they earn 20 tickets, and I hand out tickets for if they do the right thing, if they have a great answer, things like that. Then I went to the library to pick up a couple of the books that I had returned because I wanted to be able to hold them up when I did my wrap up, and this way I'll have them at the end of the month and can use them in the end of the month thumbnail. And so I am finally home. I didn't update yesterday because I hadn't read all that much. So this is All My Rage. This is the one I'm reading right now. And I had been reading a little bit every morning, like starting off the day reading. I read typically in this spot, but sometimes like I get comfortable, I tend to fall asleep. That's something I need to work on because all the places I have to read, they're not ideal reading spots. So I have my chair, my desk chair, I have the couch, I have my recliner over there. I don't actually read over there except for like audiobooking when I'm cross-stitching. I don't have a really good chair or place to sit for reading, which is a step that I'm working on for my building my library, which that vlog is coming eventually once I finish the library. And so in the morning and in the evening, obviously, I'm really prone to fall asleep. I think that was part of the reason why I was not necessarily connecting with this book as much as I was when I first started reading it. I thought it was hard-hitting right from the get-go. I really liked what Sabathier was doing with the characters, but then it sort of felt like it got into a lull. I realized that the fact that I was falling asleep in the morning meant that maybe I wasn't comprehending what I was reading. And so this morning, I definitely gave it a better shot. I situated myself so that I'm sitting all the way up and using another pillow. So I'm not holding the book up, and just sitting all the way up made it so that I was able to stay awake more. I did not want to put this book down. Biggest difference ever. I definitely felt slumpy when I wasn't, I understood what I was reading, but I wasn't comprehending and I wasn't making those connections. This is absolutely amazing. I really want to finish it. I'm really close to finishing. There's a, I hesitate to call it a trope because it's not a trope, but there's a thing that gets brought up a lot in YA contemporary: drug usage, addiction. I just feel like the alcohol use, drug use, it gets brought up a lot. There was a point where I thought, you gotta be kidding me. Are you going down this route? Because it just feels so overused and so cliche. Sabathier did this with one of the characters, but in a way that I did not expect. And I think she handled it really well. And there's another incident that happens. That was the point that I didn't want to put it down, even though I had to put it down and get ready for work. That has to do with the drug bit or part of it. I'm trying to be vague on purpose because you should not know some of this stuff. And there's also something that was happening with Noor that I did not catch. And so I empathized with Sal when he finds out this thing about Noor. And I went, wait, what did I miss? So maybe there are signs that happened in those pages where I wasn't fully awake, but I don't think there were. And I think that's fine. Because the way that it is revealed, Sabathier doesn't come out and hand it to you on a platter, She reveals it in a way that if you are a really good friend of someone who is going through something like this, might find out. And so you almost feel the same way as that person. Tonight, I don't know that I'll get back to this book. I'm definitely going to get back to the Robin Hobb book. I should probably, maybe look up what the book's called. It's a little bit trickier when you're listening to it on audiobook. I'm also still really enjoying that. But if I finish this, when I finish this, obviously I'm going to finish it. I'm going to pick up Spinning Silver. There's that update. I'm really looking forward to a very relaxing weekend, rejuvenating, prepping, getting ready, because the next few weeks of school, it's the end of the year. It's chaotic. There's a lot going on. There's prep for testing. They decided to throw a field test item. Yes, make the children write another essay. So there's prep for testing. There's this field test item. There's actual testing. And then there's end of year. And then we're done. So I'm looking forward to the end of the year. There's just a lot that happens in the end of the year that you have to have your head screwed on straight for. So this weekend, lots and lots of rest and hopefully lots of reading. So I'm gonna pop in quick. It's Thursday evening. I almost said Friday evening because I don't have school tomorrow. They have redone our schedules because we don't have snow days anymore. We have e-learning days. So normally we have spring break around Easter, but obviously spring break was a few weeks ago. But we do have a day off, so Friday to tomorrow off and Monday off. So it's a long weekend. So it's a nice little break. I'm not sure if I actually explained that already. I have a nice long break that I talked about before that I'm gonna rest up. I finished this morning. Absolutely loved it. Put it through Compile. 5 stars. I know hands down it was the fact that I just was not awake enough to comprehend the things that were going on. Like, comprehend is not the right word, but I don't know what word that I actually do want. This book is deep. This is not light, fluffy reading. When you're engaging with this book, you're engaging with the real lives of these characters and the real life consequences of their actions. I finished the book. I just set it down and went, I want more. I love the way Sapatihira ends this. It's resolved, but open. And I think that's my favorite kind of ending. This definitely lived up to the top of my TBR prompt for Magical Readathon. So I entered this in Magical Readathon, and I also entered A Wolf for a Spell because I didn't realize that I had read that for a class. That was for lore, for mythology, and obviously with Baba Yaga and all that, that's definitely mythology. I will be picking up Spinning Silver next, not tonight. I'll pick that up tomorrow and try to read that tomorrow. And I'll also try to read Sleeper in the Spindle tomorrow for that particular class. So it's midday on Friday, and I wanted to pop in because I'm about 150 pages into Spinning Silver. While I am intrigued by the story, I'm frustrated by one thing about the writing, not the story, about the writing. It's told through multi-POV, but here's my problem. Every single one of those POVs is first person. It takes a paragraph or even half a page before you figure out which POV you're going to, because you're not going in any particular order. And it started off with just 2, with the miller's daughter, I forget her name, with Wanda, another girl from the village who comes to work for her, and then we get it thrown in this like second tier lord's daughter, Irina, and now when I thought we had enough with 3, we get Wanda's brother. I don't like that. I like knowing whose perspective I'm reading from. Yet again, and I haven't been reading all that much today, yet again there's another perspective, and it's first person. Why all of the first person perspectives that don't give the names? This one is introduced on page 246. Would we expect this perspective? No. Frustrating. So I finished Spinning Silver. I don't think I will read another Naomi Novik book because this is supposed to be one of her best. I have complicated feelings about this, primarily because I know that my frustration with all of the first person narrators is what really got in the way of me enjoying this book. I thought that the concept fascinating. I loved Wanda as a character. Miriam and Irina could have done without. The perspectives from Stepan and the Tsar, I don't even remember how to say his name, totally unnecessary. They just add extra first person narratives that are not necessary. When I have such frustration at the way something is written in trying to figure out who the characters are that I'm reading from, I find it hard to enjoy the book. I lost the thread of the plot so many times throughout this because we kept shifting the ultimate villainy of the villain and the person you think is that might be the villain and is not, and maybe is and is not, and maybe is. Literally, it felt like it went back and forth so many times. So I ended up rating this 3 stars. Enjoyment level, it was a lot lower. But with all of the other aspects in Caw Pile, it ended up adding up to a 3 stars. Bummed that I did not enjoy this book more, but relieved to have finally finished it. So next, my mom is going to be heading over in just a little bit, and we're going to go for our run, our long run. Excuse me. Later today, I hope to read The Sleeper in the Spindle, the Public Library book, the essay one. Both of those are 2 different classes for Magical Readathon, and then I'm going to get into Elantris, and I am so excited about that. On the audiobook front, I am probably less than an hour away from finishing the book. I listened to it at way beyond 2.5 speed. I can't remember what I have it set at right now, but I will be finishing Royal Assassin. I love these characters so much. Earlier this morning, I was looking up something about the book online. I forget what I was looking up, but I came across illustrations. I kept searching for those illustrations because they so perfectly embodied what my mind's image of all these characters, of Fitz, of Burrich, of Chade, of the Fool. And then I discovered these are from an illustrated edition of this trilogy because I so identify with these characters and love the images of these characters. I'm like, this is what I love. Robin Hobb has created such well-rounded, fleshed out characters in these series. I put the illustrated editions on my wish list. They're expensive, but I don't own the physical books yet. And if I'm gonna own any physical books, it's gonna be those illustrated editions because they are gorgeous. I hope that the publishers release illustrated editions of all of the Realm of the Elderlings books because they deserve it. So it is Saturday afternoon. The long runs are getting long. I ended up spending like 3-ish hours on the run. Not as much time for reading, but I have some of my shorter books to check off the list today and some books that I'm really excited about. So I did, before we left, start and finish The Sleeper and the Spindle. I really enjoy Neil Gaiman's writing. I have one of my favorite books by him is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. And it's not a typical book for me, but I really liked it. He has a very unique writing style. I have also really enjoyed the Doctor Who episodes that he wrote. I think The Doctor's Wife, one of the Matt Smith episodes I really loved. The Sleeper and the Spindle takes traditional fairy tales and turns them on their head, but not in a way that you would expect. So at first I didn't realize that the first queen that we see is Snow White. It's on her wedding day, so it's after she's been revived and etc. And then obviously the sleeper is Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, or at least that fairy tale. I love how Gaiman made Snow White the protagonist. And she's the one going to rescue, and you don't need a knight in shining armor, etc. for that. And I also loved the illustrations. So the first time that you see Snow White, and she's never called Snow White, but the first time that you see her, she's waking up on her wedding day, and on the bed, see, there are skulls. And I thought at first, is this one of the evil stepmoms or something? But no, it's her. But I really do enjoy the artwork. I'm going to try to find one of my favorite ones. So I'm not going to stay on this too long because it might be spoilers, but I really enjoy that artwork and the way that Chris Riddell, the illustrator, portrayed Snow White. Short book, but I really enjoyed it. I haven't put it through Compile yet. I don't know if I'll end up purchasing this to include in my collection, but this was a really enjoyable read. And so next I'm going to pick up the Public Library. It's a nonfiction photographic essay. I put it on my list just to fulfill one of the prompts for Magical Readathon. With Sleeper and the Spindle, I finished Elemental Studies, which was read a book under 100 pages. With the Public Library, I will complete Spells and Incantations, which is short stories or essays. And since the subtitle of that book is a photographic essay, I'm counting it for that one. So another update on Saturday. I started and finished the Public Library. I did get super sleepy while I was reading this, but that's not a fault of the book. That's because I was reading it over on the couch and I ran 17 miles this morning. I really enjoyed this. I loved the photographs. They were very well done, and they were interspersed with little vignettes, little essays. Like, they weren't full-on essays, mostly by Robert Dawson, but there are also different reflections by all these authors listed down here. So I thought that was fantastic to include in it. And I also love the fact that I got this from my library. I am a huge proponent of the library. I love the library. I've been going to the library since I was a kid. The main branch of the library in my city was only a few minutes away. We went there like all the time. My mom would have to, she had to put limits on the number of books that my sister and I checked out. Not because we wouldn't read them, just because, you know, like physical carrying them and getting them back to the library and etc. I am a huge proponent of libraries. So I thought this was fantastic. And I may even see about getting a physical copy because this is just awesome. I loved it. So now I'm going to start Elantris. I am so excited about this. I love that it's the floppy kind. I'm going to dig into this, and this will be my second Brandon Sanderson adult fiction. Good morning. It is Sunday morning. I just read a little bit more of Elantris. I'm only about 50 or so pages into it. And one thing I discovered, I thought this was a decently sized book, but I looked to see the page count when I started reading, and apparently these are very thin pages. This is a 500 something page book. Packaged quite nice, but it's gonna take me longer to read it than I thought. So I'm intrigued. I'm just meeting several of the characters. I've met the prince, I've met his betrothed who came and found him dead. You know, happy wedding. And then I have met, there's been several terms introduced in this chapter that are like fantasy terms that I have no idea how to actually pronounce, including this guy's name. And I think, if I'm correct, it's this guy over here on the far left, and he's a high priest of a very militaristic religion. So I've met all of them so far. I'm not gonna make any judgment calls on, you know, the story itself until I get a lot further in. I did finish Royal Assassin yesterday night. I love it. Obviously, I haven't compiled it, but I have no doubt that it's going to be 5 stars. I don't see how it could not be. I am putting off Assassin's Quest for just a little bit because I want to do, speaking of quests, I want to do one of the quests in Magical Readathon, which is to read a book from someone else's TBR, and I found a audiobook of The Girl Who Sank Beneath the Sea. I typed that in. It's The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I started that last night and I'm really intrigued by it. I really like the concept. I think I'm going to enjoy that one. It's going to be a quick read. Hopefully I'll finish that probably tomorrow. And then I'm still going to put off Assassin's Quest because I've decided to read Well of Ascension as audiobook, and I used one of my Libro FM credits for that. So I'm going to read Elantris physically, and I'm going to read Well of Ascension as an audiobook. Now I am going to drink my coffee. Not sure what I'll do yet, but probably work on to-do list stuff. So I'm going to actually wrap up the vlog now. It's about 4:30 on Sunday afternoon. I have not gotten as much reading done today as I had hoped. A large part of that is because I was uploading clips onto my phone so that I could get it to my computer. I have an old computer. The fourth of the 4 clips that I was uploading, it said, when I was getting off my camera onto the phone, it said there wasn't enough storage. I've had this happen several times and I've just had to delete things. Then it magically finds 40 gigs of storage and then I re-download whatever app that is. I forgot that it should have been the Google Drive app. And so I spent 2 hours trying to figure things out. Uploading the latest update on my phone and searching for things, playing Pokemon while I waited instead of reading. I mean, I could have read while it was doing all the updates and stuff, which didn't actually help with the storage thing. At the end of those 2 hours, I deleted the Google Drive app. Magically, it found 40 gigs of storage. So I'm about 100 or so pages into Elantris. It's not capturing my attention as much as I thought it would, but I think that's because I've been reading it piecemeal. I do still like it. I am intrigued by the concept and what's going on, still trying to figure that out. Sanderson has a lot more made up words in this book. Feels like it's, you know, fantasy trying to make up words for things that they don't necessarily connect with what we would think with normal, like how we think as English speakers and how we could like figure out what the word says. And I think that's part of what's pulling me out of it a little bit. However, I say that I am still intrigued with what's going on. I just need to set aside some time to get to Elantris and just focus on Elantris instead of trying to go back and forth with stuff and be distracted by other things. In next week's vlog, I will talk more about Elantris and my thoughts on it, because hopefully I will be able to finish that. I'm also working my way through The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I should be able to finish that tonight, but you'll get my detailed thoughts on the book in the wrap up for it. For a school week, this I believe was a fairly successful reading week. I was able to get through an entire book in the week, got through All My Rage, 5-star, amazing, gave other thoughts about it. I was able to start and finish Spinning Silver, started on a Friday. Again, you've already heard all my thoughts on it. And then I read 2 quick books through yesterday through Saturday. I finished a long audiobook, Royal Apprentice, have found probably a new favorite author. Here we have the books that I have read this week. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.